Hello and welcome back to an introduction to the baritone ukulele. This is part 2, and if you haven't done part 1, I highly recommend you go back and go over that one first before doing this one. In the first one we learned 3 chords. They were G, C and D7. And in this one we're going to learn 3 minor chords. Now we mentioned last time that the G and the C, even though they're just called G and C where we see them written down, are actually what we call major chords, and they tend to have a lighter, brighter quality about them than minor chords. The D7, that's a different thing, and we'll get onto that in a future lesson as to why that's called a D7 and what that means in terms of the music we make with it. But in this lesson we're going to learn 3 minor chords. We're going to learn A minor. Now that A minor is very much like the C we had in our previous lesson with 2 fingers, but we're now going to take our ring finger and place that on the 2nd fret of the G string as well. So now we've got 3 fingers down, and that's an A minor. And I don't know if you can hear, but that's our C. Nice happy sounding C. And a slightly sadder sounding A minor. The next one that we're going to learn is an E minor, and that's nice and easy, and if you like you can start with that C chord again and just take off your 1st finger and leave your 2nd finger there on the 2nd fret of the D string. And that's an E minor. And finally we're going to learn how to play a B minor. Now this is 3 fingers, kind of a diagonal line. We start on our E string, the one nearest the floor, at the 2nd fret with our 1st finger. Our 2nd finger, 3rd fret on the B string, the 2nd string, and our ring finger on the 4th fret of the G string, or our 3rd string. Nothing on the D string, we strum all of the strings. So now we've got A minor, E minor, and B minor. Now, why have I picked those 3 chords? Well, if you put those 3 chords together with the G, the C and the D7 that we had before, they all belong in, as we mentioned last time, the key of G. And the key is just a family of chords that go together frequently, and a family of notes that go together frequently that we use to make tunes and to build those chords. They all belong together, and they make music that sounds familiar to us. We know they work together. So if we know those 6 chords, we'll be able to play lots of songs that are in the key of G. And we're of course going to look at other keys later on. Here are a few things that you can play using some of those chords. I do highly recommend that if you're not a member of a ukulele club, you start to have a look around for one, so that in a few weeks' time you can go along and introduce yourself and maybe join in. But if you can get a songbook from them and have a look through it and see if you can find any songs that use the 6 chords that we've got so far. Not necessarily all 6 of them, just a few. Here are some songs that you can play in the key of G using the chords we've got. So we could play G, E minor. Now notice, like we played the G with our ring finger before so that I could get to the C without having to switch my hand around all the time, I did mention playing the E minor with your 2nd finger. So if we play our G with our 3rd finger, our E minor with our 2nd finger, then a C we can just put the index finger down. We can leave the index finger where it is. Those 4 chords are used in loads of songs. G, E minor, C, D7. And songs that use those chords are things like always look on the bright side of life. That one's got E minor, C, D7. There are loads of other songs though, things like where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Or when the night has come. land is dark and the moon is the only light you'll see. Notice how the timing's slightly different on this one, but it's the same chords in the same order. That's stand by me, whoa, stand by me. C, stand by me, D7, stand by me. Back to G, stand by me. That's all we're going to cover in this lesson. That's given you 6 chords to practice and some ideas of songs that you'll be able to play with those chords. In the next lesson, we'll look at another key. We'll try and do some more interesting things with our strumming hand. But in the meantime, keep practicing and I'll see you again in part 3. Bye bye.